have a jam-packed agenda. We're going to get ready to jump over into the keynote, which I know everyone is super excited about. And I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Jacqueline Woods. So Jacqueline is Teradata's Chief Marketing Officer and a member of the company's executive leadership team. As the company's chief storyteller, she guides all aspects of marketing and communications, including strategic marketing, marketing planning and delivery, advertising, brand and reputation management, digital and social properties, as well as customer generation, influencer marketing, public relations, industry relations, events, corporate communications, and creating enriching customer experiences. She has a very full plate. this rock star over here joining us. Following the keynote, there's also going to be an audience Q&A, which will be led by Michelle Pruitt, who is a principal program manager at Microsoft and who is also a board advisor for Women in Cloud. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for this keynote session. So without further ado, I am pleased to welcome to the stage, Jacqueline Woods.
Thank you, Dara. It's really great to be here. First, I wanted to say thank you to Women in Cloud and the leadership team. I am so very proud of the work that you are doing. It's so important. Think about those words, women in cloud. They are so powerful. So thank you to the vision that Chaitra had years ago as the president and co-founder of the organization. It's that vision that's not only promoting women, but putting women at the forefront of the most important technology movement that we've seen in the last 2 decades. She mentioned a couple minutes ago that, we're at 2%, forging ahead. When Chaitra and I first started, I don't even know if we were happy. And so some people might think that we haven't made a lot of progress, and we clearly need to make more. And a lot of the ESG programs that many of the technology companies have that will be focusing on DE&I are a great place to continue that work. So I'm very proud to, but also really proud of Chaitra. And like she said, we have been friends for many years. So let's start at the beginning. Today, I am going to be talking to you about hyperscalers, and their importance really in propelling the digital transformation. But I want to start in the beginning, even with myself. Next slide, please. And earlier this week, I was talking to my own leadership team, and we have 3 new leaders on the team. And we were really just talking about kind of how we all got started in the technology business. And for some reason, we started talking about computer programming, and we started talking about how we were sitting in the computer labs and our programs weren't working. And at that time, nobody was calling anything coding. And just to date myself, even though I always pretend that I'm a millennial, we were programming in Fortran, programming in COBOL and C++. And that feels like 100 years ago, even though it wasn't that long. But it was when we were sitting in those computer labs, we were often the only women that were in those labs. And so look at how far we've come. So when you fast forward 30 or so years and you arrive at Women in Cloud, you really do have to acknowledge, while there is a lot more to do, we have come a long way. When I started and when I graduated from college, went into the workforce, I would argue that even kind of IT as a true discipline wasn't truly formed at that point. My husband is a computer science major. That was he was one of the first people I knew that majored in computer science. Still, a lot of people were doing engineering, but computer science as a discipline wasn't a very strong discipline. And I started my career in finance and accounting, and I was doing some tech projects at the time, but there was a part of me that really wanted to be at the forefront of not reporting on what happened in a business, but really started helping drive the business, propel the business which is actually how I landed and ended up in marketing. I did a stint in internal audit, and I bring that up because there's no better place for those that are out there. There really is no better place to almost learn about a company than internal audit, particularly at some of the, what I would call kind of trusted, tried and true companies, such as a GE or an IBM, because they have programs around it. And you literally learn about every single function in a company and understand how an enterprise runs. So for some of you that are now founders and looking for more discipline about learning, what do I need to know to really run a company? You don't have to go work an internal audit. Just go find some people that are doing that will help you understand some of the nuance, all facets and operations of business. It's a great place to be. So I built a couple of technology systems. I then went into sales and operations, got my MBA, and then proceeded to, after I did that, notwithstanding the fact that along the way I had 2 kids, started my career at GTE, which is now Verizon, then went to Oracle, then went to GE, the GE General Electric, IBM, Nielsen, and now I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Teradata. So that's a little bit about me. I want to talk to you about the why now. Why is cloud so important? Why are hyperscalers so important in hyperscaling? If you think about the imperatives of, I would say, every CEO that you talk to, they're talking about transforming their organizations. The number one thing that they talk about is they need to transform their organization. And that just means that there's a recognition that long-range plans that many CEOs grew up on, it's not that they're out the window. It's just that those long-range plans over time have really been short and condensed. And so they have to think about, what is it that I need to do to drive transformation in my organization? And as you heard Chaitra say earlier, that there is this $7 trillion cloud opportunity that's hanging out there for people that are participating in helping CEOs drive transformation. That happens in many places. You can either be the driver of that transformation working at that company. You can be working with CSPs, ISVs, SIs, and others that are in the ecosystem, or you yourself can be an ISV or someone who's selling into those companies to help them drive their own transformations. McKinsey came out with a statistic that actually said that there was going to be $1 trillion worth of value that was created by 2030 of companies that are investing in cloud and their own transformation. So it's not just that this economy is sitting out there and it's $7 trillion. It's the fact that companies themselves are going to drive over the next 8 years another $1 trillion of incremental value for themselves by participating in this digital transformation. So the first thing that I want you to ask yourselves are, where are you in that journey? The transformation that we all need to have is to have a digital first mindset. Are we thinking about how we participate in that transformation, how we help others and help ourselves? And so you're going to be building out really co-selling. You're going to be developing go-to-market plans that need to be digital first. And you're also going to be really focused on actively engaging in communities that accelerate your growth. Next slide, please. So how many times have we said that that something is good for us, but we haven't done it? And I think most companies that didn't adopt cloud early didn't jump on that bandwagon when it first happened said, why haven't I taken the steps to do that? Somehow we don't start. Even when we know things are good for us, somehow we don't start. I don't know whether we're stuck or generally that we make excuses. At some point, we've all done that. It could be something personal like cleaning your garage or actually committing to an exercise plan or saying to yourself you're going to eat healthier. But at some point, we've all gotten stuck knowing that we should have done something better for ourselves. So all of those things have some benefit when we do them. I'm better organized. I feel stronger. I feel better. I have better mental clarity. I want each of you to understand that there is nothing from a technology perspective that is more likely to accelerate you faster than moving and building on the cloud, being part of the cloud or leading the cloud. Whether that's business agility, whether it's resilience, whether it's improving your customer experience, whether it's driving your own brand. Next slide, please. So there is really no waiting. Start now. Think about how you're going to participate. What are you going to do to be different than what you did yesterday? What excuses are you going to stop making and get started? How do you stop saying, I'm going to do it later and do it now? Next slide, please. When you do this and really lean in and think about all the things that you can benefit from by participating in the cloud, participating with hyperscalers, participating in being a hyperscaler and leading yourself, you then have this frictionless environment that you're not only creating for yourself, but others in the business world. You are valued for being strong and reputable. You will grow not only your brand presence, but the brand presence of the companies that you're working for. You will drive more innovation and you'll have a more holistic approach to your business. So I want to leave you with thinking about driving that exponential change that you know will be transformative. You are the transformation of the future. You are the transformers, and I'm counting on you to drive us forward into the future for all women and the Women in Cloud community. Thank you.
I love it. Awesome job.
Thank you.
All right, now we have Michelle joining us. Perfect. Great.
Hey, Jacqueline, I have to say I was really inspired by your session. Incredible when you said, I think you said 2 trillion of incremental dollars are going to be driven. Was that the right?
1 trillion, but that's still a big number.
It is a huge number, a huge number. Yeah. So we did have a couple of questions that came in. They came in different forms. Some of them came directly to me. So folks, if you do have questions, please put it in the Q&A. It's just easier to navigate. One of the questions that came in is in regard to the next 16 to 8 months and what you specifically are planning in order to take advantage of the cloud and to be that change leader, driving that exponential change.
Well, I think that's a great question because our whole company is transformed. And we talk about it all the time as being a cloud first, connected, multi-cloud company, really focused on data management and enterprise analytics. So that is what we are doing, living, breathing, sleeping. So that fundamentally. But I will also tell you that the other technologies that we use as part of our marketing technology stack as well are all, cloud-based, cloud-enabled products. And so that is, twofold, what I do every day for my job, and then how my job is leading our company around a cloud first agenda.
Love it. Folks are really interested in picking your brain on what should they do next. We have a couple of questions that came in, one specifically who is a cloud ISP an HBCU/higher ed seller asking about key
Awesome.
focus points. We have a lot of folks asking similarly, how do I distinguish myself and what should I focus on to distinguish myself?
If I understood the question coming from the person working in higher ed in the
Mhm.
HBCU, as you know, the criticality, whether it's Hampton, Florida A&M, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, really making sure that those colleges and universities are prepared to help their students have a digital mindset and also have a digital first community themselves, so that they are preparing the students to work at the organizations, whether it is ISV, a value of, even Google, AWS, Microsoft, ensuring that they have the right coursework to do that is critically important for preparing those students. The students are hungry to be in technology. Most of you know that Spelman is the #1 HBCU for in general, but it's an all women's. So if we want to get more women in technology, let's go make sure that the women at Spelman are enabled.
That is such a good point. And it really goes back to part of your story, right? When you were talking about your experience and not having that many women in your computer science classes, and there still is a significant need to retain women.
I was the only one and the only Black one. So during that time, there wasn't even the conversation on really investing in women and women of color. And that's so incredibly important. And it's still a very, Sheetal said it too, it's still a very small contingent. And it's just something that we really have to focus on and make sure that we're investing in.
Well, it's a good thing that we're in a community called Women in Cloud, because we know
Awesome.
we have a brain trust here today and collectively that can help make that happen.
Exactly. And we have a responsibility to each other. I think women is for me it is one of the most important thing that I do. And we should, really have a love for it and keep encouraging it. Particularly in technology, because it can be lonely out there, as most women in tech know. So let's make sure that we're holding hands and bringing each other up together. That the responsibility of the collective. And then we should really make sure that we're having allies which are across the spectrum. I've had most of my mentors across my career have been men, and they are willing, ready, and able to help, and they want to support us. So let's make sure that give them the opportunity to do that.
That is such a good point. It really does make a difference having those mentors, having those sponsors, having it across genders, having those allies. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We have a question that came in terms of measuring progress and metrics. And the question more specifically is, how do you rank analytics and where should I focus? And I imagine you track a lot of analytics across your roles and the different divisions you run.
First of all, I feel like you can't do anything if you don't measure it. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm here this week with my own team doing a leadership meeting. The first thing we talked about was like understanding where we are so we know where we want to go and how we're going to get there. And the only way that you can do that is measure it. Analytics for analytics' sake is not the right answer either. You have to know what you're analyzing, why you're analyzing it, and what insights are you trying to glean to make better decisions. It's about the insights. It's about leveraging not just a few data points, but millions of data points if you can, because the more information that you have, the more you can coalesce that information to get to the best answer. But you have to be not just vigilant, but diligent in doing so.
You had a great comment there that triggered, I just got this in direct chat. But when you were talking about what you're analyzing and why, the response that I got in chat was, this is perfect advice to overcome imposter syndrome as well.
Absolutely, because I think, kind of everyone walks into a situation. Before anyone was a CEO, a CFO, a CMO, a C whatever, they were something else. They weren't that job before. They didn't know what they were doing. Of course, we all want to act like when we got here that we were already here, but we weren't here before. So, so it's really important to just kind of take a step back and accept that you don't know everything. Really start to rely on the people that are around you and build an environment of trust. Data and information is always your friend, because the more information that you have at your disposal that you know about, the more informed you can be. Don't feel that you have to be someone that you're not. I tell people this, particularly about this job, and maybe because I'm 30 years in and I finally kind of when you get to 40, you know who you are, but when you get to 50, you really know who you are. But it's one of those things where once you really know who you are, you don't feel like you have to be an imposter. You accept for yourself for who you are, what you are, but more importantly, just have enough information to have confidence. You're going to make some mistakes, but trust that you're going to course correct pretty quickly. Be open to advice from others, and you will always rise to the occasion. Just believe in yourself. I believe that, generally speaking, rise to the occasion.
That is so inspirational. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful Q&A, wonderful keynote. I'm sorry to jump in. I know we have a jam-packed agenda, so we're trying to continue along. Thank you, Michelle, for helping moderate. And thank you, Jacqueline, so much for a wonderful keynote. Folks, let the questions keep on rolling in the chat, add them in. We'll try to get them answered for you as well. I know Jacqueline will be able to maybe respond in chat as we move along.